What if you could join a network of business leaders who share your Christian values, who reject the separation of faith and business, and who have a fierce vision for success? Welcome to Business Makers Network, a network that strives to create community, build intellectual wealth and practical business knowledge, and grow thriving businesses for the kingdom. We're not just another business network. We are a community of unapologetic Christian leaders who understand that success in business blesses our customers, blesses our families and employees, and in the end drives greater profits. All of Christ for all our business efforts as we aim to take the talents God has given us and turn them into 30, 60, and 100-fold. With a combined net worth already exceeding $1 billion in committed memberships, our members are reshaping the business landscape while staying true to our Christian values and taking dominion in the lanes God has paid for us. As a member, you'll gain exclusive access to our Business Makers Network app, discounts to live workshop events, network calls with key influencers, access to like-minded Christian business leaders, a pool of hands-on intellectual wealth and practical business knowledge, mentorship and menteeship programs. We will be rolling those out over the coming year. Read-only access for the tier above you for educational purposes. Invitations to our annual corporate partner dinner. Networking events at the Fight Laugh Feast conference. We offer membership tiers designed to match your business journey. From our exclusive double diamond level for industry titans, to our green membership for promising startups, to our MVP tier that is looking for a community of Christian like-minded business leaders. There's a place for every serious business leader in our community. Your network is your net worth. Join Business Makers today and become a part of a movement that is changing the face of Christian business leadership. Visit our website now to secure your membership and step into a community where faith, business, and success align. Boom! Music's got to come in. Got to turn on the music. Hey, y'all. Welcome to Water Break. Water Girl, Water Boy, Annie, Gabe, Annie. Make sure you guys subscribe to us on YouTube. Download our Fight Laugh Feast app. And, I got volume control. That's nice. Where you can engage actually and listen to most of our content. We got shows like Cross Politics. We got In the Bullpen with Mark Dewey. Fantastic baseball show. He's got the best voice on the network, 100%. Love Mark Dewey, In the Bullpen. And a number of other shows. We got Canadian shows on our app. So make sure you check out our whole network, our whole Fight Laugh Feast app, Fight Laugh Feast network and app. If you guys want to be in a conversation with us, email us at RenchMedia@gmail.com. That's an easy place to ask us questions because actually today we're going to get into questions that people have emailed us.
Yeah, well, I think last show we said Joel was coming on to talk about gut health, so I bet we have extra people tuned in who are really disappointed right now. So sorry, guys. He had to reschedule.
Yeah, you know how the real world goes.
Yeah, he's busy and important, so we had to reschedule. Yep. We'll get him on soon. We will talk about gut health, but we had to pivot. And we're going to answer some questions, and I'm happy about it because some of these questions have been sitting in our inbox for a while. I mean, I always add them to a list, like a running list of questions you guys ask, but I start to feel bad when
they build up and we got to answer them. Yeah,
and I'm like, we're going to answer it. It's just, we did a lot of interviews recently, so
that's right.
Answer questions.
But. So I'm gonna be at Apologia conference this Friday and Saturday. Apparently, it's in Tucson, Arizona.
Apparently.
And then the following week, I'll be in Nashville. We got a Business Maker Summit in Nashville, and I'll be at Roll Call 3.0 with Jason Whitlock in Nashville. That'll be Business Makers Summit is on Thursday, Friday. Whitlock's conference is on Friday night and Saturday. And you can actually come to the Saturday conference. Pastor Wilson will be speaking there too. Go to Google. It's like Roll Call 3.0. Go to the website. Saturday is just $99. Business Makers is $100 or $50 if you're a member. It should be a great couple days out there in Nashville. Love to see you guys there.
This is next weekend.
Yeah, next weekend.
You're gone
May 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th next weekend.
And this is Jason Whitlock's.
And Doug's speaking it.
Doug's speaking it. That's actually really amazing.
It's awesome.
Did you talk him into that?
Or we've been building that relationship with Jason for a long time, and he's had Doug on a show already. And
that's
been
cool.
Jason's a fantastic brother, and it's just been cool to watch him.
Just a whole another crowd,
Yeah, he's basically working on doing Promise Keepers for the Black community.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, so
that's pretty
cool. And then of course follow me on Twitter, Annie on Instagram, and Annie's website's Annie Wrench at gmail.com. I forget your email address.
You mean my website is AnnieWrench.com.
AnnieWrench.com. And there you go. So today we're going to get into, this is not Ask Me Anything. We don't call that Ask Me Anything. This is the mailbox. Questions from the mailbox.
Questions from the mailbox. Yeah. And I apologize for how long it's taken. I know there's still a couple more too, but we're going to get to some of them.
Okay. What's the first question you want me to answer?
Okay. Gabe gets to answer first. So this first one is, this is great. This is great. Okay. This is Eleanor. And she said, can you talk about body positivity and skinny talk? And the happy medium. And then she says, I hate that term. Maybe the middle of the road is a better term. So kind of finding that happy medium as regular people, as Christians, when we have things like the body positivity movement or skinny talk out there, what do you think those are?
The body positivity movement is if it doesn't matter how fat you are, we're positive about everything.
Yes. Right? Yes. Good job. It's also referred to as like healthy at any size.
Healthy at any size.
Yes,
and so they're adding, okay.
I mean, there's just different ways of saying it, but it's all kind of part of the body positivity movement, which is a little more recent.
And what's the skinny
talk? It's talk. Here. It's
give me a good example of this. You actually got a
let me just
a reel.
No, let me. You're gross. Okay, listen to this. Skinny talk refers to a trend on TikTok, so it's a big trend, and that's true. Where users share videos promoting extreme weight loss tips and showcasing emaciated individuals, often with a focus on restrictive diets.
Those are anorexic people.
We can talk about it. Okay. That's actually pretty good. I wanted to see like what Google would tell me. Am I allowed to say Google?
Yeah.
It's not okay. Everything is changing. That's what skinny talk is. Okay. It's just a big trend on TikTok of just very, very, very skinny fitness influencers and kind of a push from those influencers to do really extreme things to get supposedly that skinny. So
your answer is gonna be way different than mine. But off the top of my head, first of all, in the scriptures, God has a standard for beauty. And he points out that there's beautiful women and not so attractive women in scripture.
That's so true. It's true.
There's nothing wrong with, someone being more pretty than the other. And at the same time, there's everything wrong with envy. I wish I was like her. Yeah. I wish, so you want to talk about kind of the objective biblical morality here. There's nothing wrong with being prettier than another woman. And there's everything wrong with being envious of another woman in her looks, her size, whatever. So you want to deal with your heart first in this conversation. Secondly, there's nothing wrong with being a big woman, as far as you're being a good steward of your body.
Yeah.
So some women are just naturally bigger than other women. Some women are,
that is very true. We talk about that a lot on here.
Yeah. You especially you brought it up a lot, and then thirdly in this. Is the earth is the fullness of the earth is the fullness of the Lord and everything in it. The fullness of the I'm not quite
I don't know. You like this verse, but
I was trying to today. I couldn't come up with a word.
The earth is the Lord's and the fullness therein.
Yes, there we go. Thank you. The earth is the Lord's and all its fullness. That's the way I was quoting it. The earth is the Lord's and all its fullness. And Paul was applying that to food. So Paul took that verse and applied it to food. Just kind of talking about, hey, if some people are vegetarians, that's fine. Some people are, whatever. The earth is the Lord's and all its fullness. So I don't have a beef with people's different preferences. Yeah. Basically, talking about food almost as a preference. It's all of God's food. It's all of God's earth. So we don't want to have. We don't want to be at war with food. We want to be receiving food with thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And usually, that's not where these conversations are at. The body positivity people are like, I can eat everything and be as unhealthy as possible and call it healthy.
Right.
And then on the anorexic or on the skinny side of things,
the skinny talk,
they're defining that as the ultimate form of beauty or ultimate form of fitness or health or whatever.
Yeah.
And oftentimes I bet now, while you might not have problems, let's say with food and might be overeating or whatever, I bet you probably have more sociological problems or psychological problems over in the skinny world than you might over in the fat world. Although they're probably different psychological problems.
You probably see it at both extremes. Yeah, it just manifests differently. Yeah.
Right. And ultimately, I would tell both sides, knock off the sin. Knock off the anorexia, knock off that war with food. Like this side is definitely at war with food in a way that the larger side is not at war with food. And so I'd say knock off the sin in your camps. And then I would, there's unhealthiness on both sides. The people are eating and having, being hard on their kidneys or having diabetes as a result of overeating, or and then the woman on the other side, anorexia. depression a lot of times comes with that. The guilt of eating food. Oh, I ate this, and I'm not telling my friends.
Right.
Even though you're 89 pounds or something.
Yeah.
So
89 pounds.
I would want to deal with the sin and then work out from there. I think both sides actually need correction.
Yeah.
Instead of, and I think arguing for this or arguing for that, there's a lot of problems in the arguments for this kind of lifestyle versus, and this is why the church community, I think, is so helpful because in marriage, you're ultimately working out, doing things, not doing things, and you have accountability with your husband, and you're first there really to want to please each other with your looks and everything. And usually a lot of those both sides are self-absorbed and not thinking about actually maybe the other person in their marriage that they should maybe have primary
thinking outside of themselves.
Yeah, thinking outside themselves and everything.
That's a good point.
Those would be those are probably more moral arguments against both sides, but I'm sure you got better answers on. You got answers more on the biological and what's going on.
Sure, I mean, those are good thoughts. I think it's interesting to watch how the fitness industry, especially in the wake of all this social media, Instagram, TikTok, where people can get on there, post their pictures, post their videos, do their selfie thing. It's just been really interesting to watch it. Like first, the super skinny, super unhealthy, fitnessy model people, and then the reaction being the body positivity thing, which I mean, in some ways, it's kind of like the Me Too movement, where it's like maybe when it first started, it was like, well, you should listen to, you know what I mean? But then it went really bad, and the same with body positivity. Like I kind of like the initial idea of like, okay, why are we glorifying just this look? Even
just
though
skinniness or
a
whatever.
lot of women will never look like that because they just weren't born with a body like that. And then secondly, a lot of women are, what they have to do in order to look like that is very, very unhealthy, right? And it's kind of like a mix of both. So I understand a reaction to that, but it's come so far with the body positivity movement that, like you said, you could have full-fledged type 2 diabetes and be like about to die.
Yeah.
Or just very, very unhealthy, and your blood work will show that. And people are like, it's beautiful. There's nothing wrong with it, and that's kind of messed up too. So I guess, the answer is, I think the answer is it's being reactionary is never the right reason to do something. You can be very right that this thing over here is wrong or messed up in some way. But I think that just wanting to be the opposite of that is not always going to get you in a good place. It's better to think in terms of, okay, as Christians and as like normal, healthy people, that's what we want to be. What is the right thing to do? What is health supposed to look like for us? And like you said, it's probably not going to look like either of those extremes. And I think that's why Eleanor said, like, middle of the road, like what's in the middle of the road, So I think a couple of things we need to keep in mind, and this is just really good for you guys all to keep in mind when you're on social media, period, because it's a very double-edged sword. Like I'm thankful for it. I mean, I put out content on there. I connect with people on there. You certainly use social media. And so it's great. It's a way to communicate with and market to and educate or, connect with tons of people that we didn't used to be able to do. But there's also, it's like, the negative side of it is that you see all these images, all this information and, pictures and, symbols and all these things flash in front of you constantly. And it's very easy or very hard to really sift through what's actually true or is the message that it's sending actually true. And that's really a challenge. So one thing you guys need to keep in mind with the skinny talk girls, for the most part, they all have the same look. They're very, very, very skinny, very, very lean, very small little people. That's kind of the look with skinny talk. And really, those
and they're almost naturally that way.
Yeah, actually,
probably not all of them, but most of them.
That's what I was just about to say. For the most part, most of those girls are that way because they were born that way.
They could eat 5 burgers a day and still almost
a lot of the time. Yeah, not always. A lot of the time, though, you have to remember that, and we talked about this a lot with Cam McDonald, that genetics really matter. They really do. And it's, and I don't want to say that like as an excuse. So like, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what you eat. It's just your genetic. Like, I don't mean it like that, but I mean, we all know that person who is just small boned, super petite, always has been, always will be. Doesn't matter what they eat. It doesn't matter the exercise. Maybe they do, maybe they don't, but they're just really, really tiny little people. And we also know those girls who are just kind of jacked, like the activator type person. And that's just how they came out. Like, you know what I mean? So this sort of thing comes very, very naturally to them. And because they already look that way, you know what I mean? Or maybe they just have to do a little bit and they're there. So you got to understand that. So what you said about envy or like the sidelong glance, it is absolutely, not only is comparison the thief of joy, which I think is that's the phrase. It is, and it's a huge issue for women. Comparison of all kinds of things, but in this case, we're talking about body, really. But it also is just absolutely irrational to if you have one body type over here, and then to compare you to someone with a completely different body type, like that's crazy. And we all need to stop doing that. So you need to understand that a lot of these girls are genetically predisposed to already kind of look like that. And secondly, there are some of them who maybe they have a little bit of disposition that way, but they want it so bad that they are doing some crazy, restrictive, obsessive stuff to get there, which not only is not recommended because it is unhealthy in and of itself, and it requires a lot of self-obsession and idolatry, I would say. But almost always, and I can say this having been in the industry for as long as I have been, almost always, if you are doing super extreme things, and that's one of the things that Skinny Talk is famous for, is, you know, here's my pose, me in my bikini, and then like, here's this crazy thing you can do, this super restrictive or, you know, crazy fasting or crazy, you know, super low calorie. I eat 1,000 calories a day. That's how I do this. Almost always there's fallout long term. And ironic, is it ironic? I really don't use the word ironically.
I don't think anybody uses it rightly, but I understand.
One time our brother, Josh Stevenson, explained 3 different types of irony.
It all made sense.
And I was like,
and I don't use it.
And now I'm just like, is it ironic? I don't know if it's ironic, but when the fallout from doing something extreme actually can be you gaining more weight and not being able to lose it in the long run, not being able to lose it, that does happen, you guys. And nobody knows this better than the bodybuilders. I mean, the bodybuilders who that sport is by nature extreme, they at least understand
that they're damaging their body in the long run.
they know they're doing some damage. It's not healthy, and they're, you know, it's for the sport, and they understand that you can get that skinny and ripped or whatever you want to call it for a moment in time, but you cannot stay there. And that's another thing you have to understand. These people that you see on most of them, unless they were just born that way, and there are some people who are that way, you're not stage ripped all the time. And like these women who do, even the ones who are pretty good at the sport, these bodybuilders, like they'll reverse out fast, and their body, I mean, it's common for, you know, within, you know, as soon as that show is over, yay, I did it, look at me. They'll gain 20 to 40 pounds. Some in water weight, some in bloat, a lot, some in rapid fat gain, because their body is reacting to having been forced to be so lean, which most female bodies, they do not thrive there. They don't want to be there. And they know it. It's part of the sport. So you get this picture, this moment in time, or this, you know, selfie on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, and you think, I'm so jealous. That's just how she looks. Usually it's not. It's not. And everybody talks about this, like dieting down for a photo shoot, dieting down for this. And they'll do anywhere from like mildly extreme to very extreme stuff for a second. But that is not the same thing as like, you can just do this forever and stay here forever. That almost always is not the case. There's a few genetically gifted, lucky, whatever you want to call it, you know, people out there. But for the most part, you have to remember that too. So keep that in mind. And really, I would rather at this point just talk about what I think people should do, because I think it's pretty easy to be like, well, don't do that and don't do that. But like, what should we do? So
that's good, baby.
You know, number one, you need to figure out what kind of body God gave you. And you need to and this is to your point, you need to be thankful for that. Okay. Like I talk about this in my classes all the time. Like, you can't have everything. You know what I mean? Like the little short girls, if it's a workout where it's like air squat, run, pull up, they're like, yes. And they win. And the tall girls, you know, the girls who are just taller and longer and have more bones and they weigh more.
Well, maybe you can play volleyball.
Like they hate it because like pull-ups and push-ups are so much harder for them. But you do a workout with a wall ball in a row, and you know, something that is way more like
geared towards a longer, taller size body.
Yes, they celebrate and they win. You can't have everything. Some girls are really strong. Some girls are not. Some girls are slow. Some girls are fast. Some girls are beautiful, but they're klutzy. Like, you know, you can't have everything. So first off, you just need to like figure out what kind of body you think God gave you. And our episode with Cam McDonald, I think, is super helpful. And we're going to bring it back on at some point to talk about those bodies in stress, unhealthy, because I think if you get unhealthy enough, or you've been trying to force your body to do stuff that you see other bodies doing, but it's really not a good fit for you, you can end up almost not recognizing, like, I don't know what I am supposed to be doing, you know? But anyways, that was a good episode talking about like, every body has a type and things that are naturally you're going to be better at, things that you're naturally going to thrive at, and then things that not so much. So that's not to say you can't do whatever it is you want to do. But I think it's really women need to just be thankful for the body that God gave them.
Right.
And then you need to figure out how to make that body the healthiest version of itself.
Mm-hmm.
And that may never look like that little tiny girl on TikTok. Like it may never, like I'm never going to be, I have like a medium build. My bones are probably medium.
Yeah.
I'm never going to be a super small boned girl ever.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter what I do. And in the attempt to try to do that, even it's crazy and I shouldn't do that. It would be so unhealthy for me, right? It'd be so unhealthy for me.
Well,
So
I'd also add from like a husband perspective side of this. Your husband married you for your body,
totally
for who you are.
So
and he started there because he found you attractive.
Yes.
And so, if you're comparing yourself to like, I don't know, a thin girl or a
curvier girl,
whatever, more buxom, whatever.
The grass is always greener with the ladies,
particularly your husband, married you because he found you attractive.
Yeah.
And not that attractive. He found this more attractive. So I just from a husband perspective, when he hears his wife talking about, I don't know,
I want to be this.
I want to be this, or
why
this
can't
skinny
I be
girl,
like
or this buxom girl, or whatever over here. It's like, you're kind of, I don't know, you're kind of almost insulting your husband's taste buds.
Right. Well, and I do think a lot of fashion and fitness is driven by women, actually. And
gay men.
Women and gay men. And I think
which are kind of like women.
A lot of times the guys' actual opinions are left out, which is really hilarious because usually that's all women care about. But it's driven not by what your men in general or your particular spouse or whatever would actually care for. So I think that is kind of funny. So you need to figure out what's going to be healthy for your body type. And some of that also is going to mean learning how to dress for your body type. That's huge. You guys, ladies, like learning how to dress for your body type. Like there are beautiful versions of all different types of bodies, tall, muscular, curvy, short. I just am dumbfounded by how I see women dress though. Like just in terms of like, wow, like could you possibly like choose an outfit that's less flattering on your body? And a lot of times it's simply because same reason, this is what I see other people wearing. Or this is what this other girl or this girl online or this magazine or whatever. And it's just like, no. You need to do it with your body, So if you're going to follow someone for fitness, if you're going to follow someone for fashion, try to at least find someone who has a body type similar to yours because that's going to work so much better. On the health side of things, get your blood work done. Okay. If you're a bigger frame person, if you carry a little bit more body fat and you always have, that's not necessarily bad, but you need to get your blood work done. If you're pre-diabetic, you need to deal with that.
Yeah.
And the way you would deal with that might be different than somebody else, So some of this is it's very bio-individual, but I do think blood work is really important. It's objective.
Yeah.
And if you're 300 pounds and your triglycerides are 200 and your fasted glucose is 115 or higher and your fasted insulin is 30, you are not healthy, no matter what anybody tells you. If you're 185 pounds and you're tall and you're strong and your blood work works good and you're happy, I have no problem with that. And that tall, strong body is never going to look like the TikTok girl, and that's okay. Right. And you will live a miserable life, miserable, unhealthy, frustrated life if all of your body goals are based off of the sidelong glance. Like it's just a terrible place to be. So, get healthy for your body type, get your blood work done. Another thing I would say here is find a TDEE, total daily energy expenditure calculator. You can just Google it, just look it up. And there's a bunch of them. So sometimes it's fun to find a couple and plug your stats in. I'm a female, I'm this heavy, I'm this tall. And that's what they look at, plus like activity level. And and they'll be like 0, mild, moderate, a lot, that kind of thing. And just see what it tells you. If it tells you, like, just in terms of what, like, basically what it's spitting out is what it thinks your maintenance calories should be based on your gender, your age, your height, and your activity level. And really it includes your basal metabolic rate. So just resting metabolic rate, just what your body burns just to be alive. Right.
Okay.
Thermic effective food, NEAT, that's non-exercise. So it's like fidgeting, activity, thermogenesis, and then exercise. Those are kind of the 4 places where that your whole total metabolism comes from. And you guys, I really recommend this because, and be accurate about your weight, be accurate about your height, try to be accurate about activity level, but a lot of you might be surprised how much that calculator tells you should be able to eat and be at maintenance. A lot of times it's like in the high 2000s. Like for me, it's like usually 3,000 to 3,200. A lot of calories because I'm very active.
Yeah.
And I'm heavy. I have a lot of muscle on my body. So there's so many of you women that if you plug that in, that number that shows up is going to be like double what you're eating. And if that's you, like, and we talk about this all the time, but guys, if that's you and you're already, where you're at eating so little, 1,200, 1,300, 1,400, that is not very much food, and you're overweight, the answer is not to go to the skinny talk thing and do something more extreme. It's very tempting, but if you're not close to around a weight that you want to be at and at that TDEE number, total daily energy expenditure.
Yep.
You have some work to do, and really you need to figure out, okay, why is my metabolic rate, for lack of a better word, so depressed? It can be you can have serious hormonal issues, you could have serious stress issues, you can have a downrated thyroid, you could just straight have the slowest metabolism in the world because you've been dieting off and on your whole life, which is the case for a lot of women. But I really encourage that. And reach out to me if you need some help, because the answer, if you're already under eating, like by a decent amount, which a lot of women are, the answer is not to eat less. That is not going to get you there. It's just going to dig you in a further metabolic hole. And I think that's what, I'm kind of trying to bring this all the way around. Skinny talk, those are the women that they're targeting, are the people who are desperate and they're already under eating, and they have been for a long time, and nothing else is working. So they're just
like get more severe.
I'm going to just eat grapefruits only, or I'm going to do this crazy thing or that crazy thing. It's not just unhealthy, but it will backfire more, and you need a reverse diet to get out of there. So anyways, I think that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Talk about that one enough. Okay. Yeah. All kinds of thoughts.
What's the next question we got here? And we got 15 minutes apparently.
I know, I'm so long-winded. I can't be short-winded. Okay, this is what was her name? Kylie. Here, she's very nice. Here, Gabe and Annie, thank you for doing Water Break. It's been such an encouragement and blessing to me. I'm a wife and mother in Denver, Colorado. Very cool. My husband and I attend CREC Church, so I found you through the community. We have 2 boys, ages 6 and 9. Oh, it's fun ages. Although, man, it could be 7 and 10 by now, because sorry, Kylie, it's been a really long time. Okay, in one of your episodes, Annie talked about how she helps your kids pack their own lunches by giving them guidelines on macronutrients to include, and then providing options they can choose from. I'd love to hear more about this. What are the categories? How many of each? And what are examples of the things you provide and buy that they can put in their lunches? This is a very practical question and a very good one, because food and kids is a huge issue. This is a daily thing. It feels really important. It is. We're fueling kids for school, for sports. Yes. Oh my gosh. And our kids will not stop eating. Our kids will not stop eating.
Are on a whole different level right now. Yeah. The food is amazing.
And also an area where you can easily fall into packaged processed food. Yes. Because they won't stop eating. Yeah. For the sake of convenience, we'd love to hear how you plan lunches. You just have to think about food. Yeah. Very good.
Okay. So this is, I get to start.
Go. I mean, we're
because my food categories are not normal food categories.
Oh gosh. Are you going to do your pyramid again?
Yeah. Okay, here's my pyramid.
Get ready.
Here's my pyramid. So if the kids are asking me what to take to school, you want to make sure they're eating categories, because you want to make sure they have a balanced meal.
Yes.
And so my food categories are barbecue, syrup, Dr. Pepper, and scotch.
Do you really want them to take scotch to school? Like in their little bento box, they just and then they go like this, just at the lunch table.
Just a little bit.
Because our kids would actually.
So I make sure my kids, I'm like, okay, you got to have one kind of barbecue meat. You got to have
any kind of barbecue, brisket,
syrup,
a rib.
Syrup, a rib, and syrup can go with bread, so they can kind of pick syrup and bread or whatever,
Syrup, okay.
Because syrup, this is.
I hope this is helpful, Kylie.
Scotch. There you go. Not helpful. I actually have no opinion on this.
Oh gosh.
My wife's been awesome about our kids and lunches, so you can go, baby.
Okay. I have found that kids are really intelligent and very capable.
Oh, ice cream. I forgot that fifth category.
That goes without saying. That's why you got to get them a little cooler to keep it cold.
That's right.
So they can
okay.
Kids are they're intelligent and they're capable. And it's amazing to me how I will talk to college age kids or high school age kids sometimes, and they just they have not been taught anything. And I just think come on, parents, I don't know what it is. Is it that the parents don't know, or is it just I think there are situations where even and Kylie, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking broadly here. I think there's situations where the parents don't know anything about food. So of course your kids don't know anything about food, but I think even more often, people just think of kids as little garbage disposals. Like they can just eat anything and it doesn't matter, and like they're kids. So they're just not going to know this stuff, or it's just too hard, or it's too complicated, or they won't do it. Or I don't know. But like, I've not found that to be the case. Now, granted, we've specifically gone out of our way to raise our kids so that they listen to us, they do what we say, and that we try to also model it for them, because that's a big deal, right? So we're eating, mostly whole food, understanding macronutrients, talking about it is normal in our house. And I think that's what you want to achieve. You want this to be normal. And I will say, parents, if you're not modeling this for your kids, if you have different rules,
it's so much difficult.
And that's just not, that's a bad look. I think that's a bad look. And there are some things like, parents can use sharp knives, kids can't. Parents can have a glass of wine, probably not the kid. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not one of those people that thinks that everything should be applied, evenly all the time. There's a difference between parents and kids. But I think when it comes to exercise, taking care of your body, how you generally eat, I think that you need to model that for your kids. So I think that's probably number one. And number two, you just have to sit down and or stand at the counter or whatever, and you just need to teach them. And it's really not that hard. And I taught them quite young, and kids remember things really well when they're young. Like they really do. So
especially our son.
Oh gosh.
Everything but his belt to school, he remembers very well.
Listen, he remembers what he cares about.
Yeah, that's probably the better.
He remembers what he cares about, like what you promised him 3 months ago while you were still waking up in the morning. He's like, well,
that's right.
He's like, sign right here. Like he doesn't forget. Yeah, he has a great memory when he cares. So macronutrients, basically, we've got our carbohydrates, we've got our fats, we've got our protein. And then I do talk about fiber too with them, although a lot of times fiber and carbohydrate can come in one thing. Okay. So some examples of healthy carbohydrates that might be them, making a sandwich with homemade sourdough. Great choice. We do crackers a lot. Our kids like to do, we do bento boxes. So it's all like partitioned out like this. It's just easier, I think, especially when you're on the go all the time, to do, unless you're doing a sandwich, it's just easy to do a bunch of different healthy options all together rather than trying to find something that's all mixed, you know what I mean? Or something that's like heavily processed. So the bento boxes work really well. Simple Mills is a great brand. I've been really happy with them. They have very good ingredients. It's a short ingredient list. They've got all different kinds of crackers. They even have this little cheddar thing. I think they're called Pop'ems, I think. That's sort of like a healthier goldfish. My kids love those. So I'm happy you definitely spend a little more money, but I'm happy to get them things like that, because I don't want them to just understand food and eat in a healthy way. I want them to like it, so it's just kind of trying to strike that balance. So yeah, sourdough's great. Make a sandwich, Simple Mills crackers, and then fruit. We do a ton of fruit. I actually just today, it's April 24th, which means it is too early for watermelon, but I still bought one because my kids, they love watermelon, and I'm a huge fan. It's super hydrating. It's filling. It's a great natural source of carbohydrate, and I'm a huge fan. So in the summer, I just keep cut up watermelon in the fridge all the time. Like they can have it whenever they want. I'm like, please just don't drop it all over my floor. Other than that, I love it.
Yeah.
And they're already like, is it watermelon season?
Yes.
So I bought one. I don't think it's going to be very good, but I'm going to go home and find out. But yeah, you can be really creative with fruit, bananas, berries, apples, oranges, mix it up. Variety is key. Not only to help them not become a picky eater so that their taste buds learn to like a lot of things, but just for general health now. And as they get older, gut health, the more variety, the better. Yeah. So those are probably my main go-tos for carbs. And there's other options too. Rice is fine. Beans are fine. Depends on what kind of kid you have and as Cash gets older, like I know some moms of like high school age boys, like football players or whatever, they literally just like teach their boys how to crock pot, like a pork shoulder or a beef roast or something. And then they make beans or rice, like a big thing of it at the beginning of the week. And they just literally, they eat that every day because they need a lot of calories, and that's pretty clean. That's pretty good. It's affordable. So potato is fantastic. Also, those are more things that we tend to eat right now at dinner. But I think as our kids get older, they may literally Cash may go to school with a baked potato. Yeah. I'm not opposed to it because they're so hungry. You know what I mean?
And he needs to get filled up.
And they're growing. So any of those clean, whole carbohydrate options are great. And I also think it's good for kids to not be so weird. Like if it's not a whole, like a store-bought Lunchable, then it's not like, you know what I mean? If you look at the other kids' lunches, a lot of it is like it's like this crinkly bag of Cheetos, and it's like this little like store-bought cookie. Like I like that my kids will literally just throw leftovers into their lunch. They'll be like, oh, can I have this taco meat? And I'm like, yeah. Have it. Like it doesn't need to be weird. So that's carbohydrate. Fats, healthy fats. We do a lot of nuts. Like,
it's funny to think of. I've never thought of a nut as fat.
Well, it's like all it is.
Yeah, it's so funny.
It's like all it is. And my kids know that, nut butter. So sometimes they'll do sliced apples and then they'll just spoon some like Adam's peanut butter into another little compartment and they'll just dip there, which is actually, if you put some salt, just do some salt on the top of that peanut butter. It's not bad.
Adam's,
yeah. It needs salt. I think some of that. And I think a lot of times those more natural peanut butters that are like not stirred and they don't have anything added, they just need salt and they taste a lot better. You can also even mix some raw honey in there too.
Okay.
It's not bad if your kids want a little bit more of a treat. So nuts, nut butter, Greek yogurt. No, that's more protein. Avocado, great. Cheese, any kind of like cheese stick is great. So, and they understand that counts as a fat. That's a healthy fat. And it doesn't mean there isn't, there can be fat in your protein. Some of these things get mixed around.
So you kind of, as Annie's kind of walking through, you can kind of see where my pyramid kind of fits in.
A little bit. Minus the scotch, but that's just it's a separate.
No, category. There's a wheat in there and scotch and, it's still not working, huh, baby?
It's okay. It's fine. Protein is a big one. Not because I'm obsessed with it, but because kids tend to not eat it, and if they don't eat it, their hunger is completely out of control. Their blood sugar is out of control. Their hunger is out of control. So you need. That's one of the biggest things is that like you have to have a protein in your meal. So any kind of meat, really. It can be pot roast from the night before. It can be meat in a sandwich.
Barbecue.
It can be. If you're in a pinch, I buy those Archer brand from Walmart meat sticks. Those actually work great. I try not to, that's kind of just like a shoot. I haven't gone shopping, throw a couple of those in there. Hard-boiled eggs, any kind of egg is fantastic. Greek yogurt is actually really good. If you can invest in, another thing you need to do is invest in a higher quality lunchbox, one that really keeps things cold. Because a lot of these healthier foods, you actually want it kept cold. And kids are right. There's
nothing like warm yogurt.
Yeah, there is nothing grosser than warm yogurt and being like, just eat it. That's disgusting. So get ice packs, get a better quality lunchbox if you're going to send them. But like some good Greek yogurt with like a little raw honey and berries, that's delicious. And it's nice to mix things up. Liv will take tuna to school. That's a ballsy move because then you're the tuna girl, but she doesn't care. So tuna with a good quality mayo and like dill pickles. You can also go tuna, ginger, or apple slices. That's really good. I also often make egg bites. You can get on Pinterest and there's like 10 billion different recipes for egg bites, and you can mix up what veggies and what meat you put in there. But that's a great source of protein too. If your kids like eggs and they're just easy to grab out of the fridge. We use those on lunches a lot. We use them as snacks. So, and then fiber, again, sometimes fiber and carbohydrate crossover because you're talking about your fruits and your veggies, but this is so important because like I just said, you need your kids' taste buds to learn to like these foods because even though a kid might get away with eating mostly processed cereal and maybe a chicken nugget here and there, as you get older, the ramifications of that crappy diet is going to catch up with them. Like it's going to.
Well, and the bad habits of it.
Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah. So I just sort of force it. I don't say you have to have a fruit and a vegetable, although they can. I just am like, you have to have fiber. So that could be a little mandarin orange. It could be grapes. It could be on the vegetable side, they like cucumber, they like baby carrots, they like snap peas, and they love those little sweet peppers. You know what I'm talking about? They're like little and they love those. So try to find ones they like. The more variety, the better. Again. And I just require that they have one of each of those categories. And if they want extra of anything, I do not care. Like if you need extra carbohydrates.
One of each category, go.
Yeah. And then if you want extra based off of your hunger, your preference, I don't care. I don't want to be a mom full of rules or a household full of rules or, to be so uptight about food that the kids rebel and they're like, just pizza forever. I hate it. I try to lean into things that they like. I ask them what they prefer. If one of my kids just loves fruit right now, I'm not going to stop them. Have as much fruit as you want. You're not going to get fat off of fruit, you guys. You're just not. Okay.
Okay. We got a listener I want to get to their question here just real quick. And then
I think that answers that, Kylie. And I hope that did. And you can message me follow-up questions if you want. Okay.
So this is actually regarding peanut allergies.
Oh, geez.
Do you have any advice for dealing with a young child with peanut allergies? Our daughter's 1 year old. Breaks out in full body hives just from tiny amounts of peanuts and eggs. Peanuts and eggs, maybe they're cooking them together. It even results in breathing difficulties. EpiPen was needed at one point. Curious if you know how much treating these allergies. We've heard a little about slowly increasing tiny dosages over time. That kind of stuff.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm so sorry that your kid's dealing with that. Did they say boy, girl?
Oh, just said
child. Okay. You know what? I want to pin that, and I want to ask Joel when he comes on, because he talks about this stuff all the time.
Okay.
They are correct. That back in the day, I can't remember what
like 40 years ago, there's no peanut allergies.
Well, something immunotherapy, that literally was the therapy, was tiny trace amounts titrated up to basically help your
teach your body
system
to deal with this.
Stop attacking you, when you eat it. But I don't know enough about that to be like, this is what you need to go ahead and do.
Yeah.
And I think if it was my kid, I would do some heavy research, but pin it. I will talk to Joel about allergies, food allergies in particular.
Yeah.
Nuts, egg whites, dairy, gluten, and soy are high on the list of being highly reactive foods. So for whatever reason, a lot of people react to those. But you do have to wonder, was this the case 100 years ago? It seems like it wasn't as much. So it's interesting that you see it all the time now, and I have so many questions, like in my family. Sorry, this isn't helpful at all, but I am going to ask when Joel Green comes on, which will hopefully be
really
soon.
Good.
He has a gut reset that he really swears by. And I know at least with dairy allergies, it's helped a lot of people. So I will ask him about that. And just if he has any actual experience working with someone, helping them, even just bringing the reactivity to a nut down, because there's a difference between just getting some hives versus full-on anaphylaxis. That's scary, right? So even if you could calm it down, that would be great. So I'm sorry, I'm not an expert in that, and I will ask. But there's weird stuff going on. Like, I have 6 sisters. I'm second in the lineup. The top 3 of us have no asthma, no allergies. And then from Abby down,
the bottom 4.
Oh my gosh.
Because you came from a family of 7
all
daughters.
of these problems, asthma, food allergies, she has the most, but most of them, there's at least I can't have soy, I can't have this nut, I have asthma. It's so strange. And it's just was it a vaccine? Was it the house we lived in? I don't know. But there's just weird stuff going on that I just feel like in that regard wasn't going on before. But I'm going to pin that, and I'm going to talk to Joel about it, because I have lots of questions.
That's great.
Too.
We need to make sure we ask Joel. Now, she's saying peanuts and apparently egg whites.
They're highly reactive.
Could she get rid of the egg whites and maybe just do the yolk?
It probably depends on. I mean, it's really hard to separate yolk from white, but it is interesting that a lot of people who react to eggs, it isn't the yolk, it's the white. So I don't know. I've never I don't know. It probably depends on how sensitive they are. If it's a dose dependent thing, and you could just pull the yolk and scramble a yolk, it might be okay. But if it's a true allergy, any trace amount of white would probably be triggering. So it probably depends on if it's a sensitivity or an allergy. And I haven't, I actually should play around with that with Liv, because she doesn't handle eggs very well. They make her stomach hurt, which is really sad. So I am very interested in this kind of thing. So we will get you answers.
Hey, thank you for tuning in. Next week, we are out. We're out. I'm actually traveling next Thursday. Again, I'll be in Nashville, Tennessee. Love to see you guys out there at the various events I'll be part of. Which, if you just tuned in now, go to the very beginning of the show where I announce those events. And so out next Thursday, should be back on the following Thursday. And then we're rescheduling Joel, and we got some other interviews coming up in May.
I'm really excited. We nailed Amy down to talk about testosterone, I think.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good.
Testosterone.
Well, thank you for tuning in to Water Break. Make sure you guys share the show. Text it to your friends who might be interested in listening to what we're doing. And thank you for joining us.
See you later, guys.
Hi, my name's Justin Johnson.
And I'm Josiah Stowe.
And we are Dominion Wealth Strategists. We are created to put money in the hands of those that are sitting in the pews.
From budgeting to estate planning, savings accounts, retirement planning, life insurance, and a heck of a lot more here at Dominion.
That means that you are leaving an inheritance that passes multiple generations, because that is the legacy. It's part of our mission.
All of Christ for all of life.
And all of finance for Christendom.